5, 4, 3,
2, 1. I'm Vinay.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is For the Creators.
I held the for the creators. It doesn't matter.
Ryan's trying to put on his extra presenter voice. Yeah. And for.
This is for the creators. The pregnant pause.
Yes.
How we doing?
I'm good. Apart from the fact that I was stuck in traffic.
Yeah, me too. For
2 hours.
Oh, yours 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Literally. I was trying to think of what my most creative thing was on the way, and it might be the traffic. Because it's amazing. Like, when I was driving in traffic, I was thinking of, like the wild animal syndrome, when you lock a wild animal in a cage.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you set them free, they're just like,
yeah.
That's literally how it was. As soon as I came out of traffic, my foot went down on the gas, and I was like, yeah. And then 2 seconds after, I was back in traffic again.
Welcome to London.
Exactly.
Welcome to London.
Yes. So what have you been up to?
Literally same old music, podcast, music, podcast, music. Yeah, all good, man. All good.
Same here. Music, work. Not even music.
You started a career in music since last episode.
I'm Beyonce, by the way.
I forgot.
Clearly I've already got a career in music.
Yeah.
If you don't remember that, Ryan. But no, it's just been work, podcast, trying to get people on the podcast, work,
yes. Yeah.
podcast, work. I haven't really been out much, but this week should be quite hectic.
Yeah, we've got an interesting week ahead.
Got an interesting week this week. Yeah. So this Monday's episode featured the amazing Joe Hagan.
Yeah, we really got a lot from that episode, that snapshot episode. Really lifted the lid on PR and networking. I hope you guys got a lot from that too, because there were some serious gems in there.
I think I might even listen back to
that
podcast again, because it was literally like, it gave you an insight into the whole world of celebrity. One of the things that was quite interesting, I don't know if he actually mentioned that on the podcast, is the fact that celebrities only rave Monday to Thursday. And I thought that was quite interesting, but then it made sense, because it can come across a little bit derogatory. We don't want to rave with the minions, but I can understand why they do it.
Because it's a big business behind it. It's not just turning up to parties and things like that. There's a value exchange from the brand and the celebrity and the press. So it completely makes sense.
But it also makes sense from the perspective of, they're surrounding themselves with other people that are on their level, but I guess it allows them to actually have fun. Because if you were to go to like a normal rave, everyone's coming up to you every minute for an autograph.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
So you can't exactly like let your hair down and just have fun. You can't even really get drunk. You have to remain like poised and So,
and for most of the time they get paid for hosting those kind of parties anyway. So it wouldn't even really make sense when you're at that level of fame, I suppose.
I think the Kardashians are probably getting something like 250,000.
Yeah, just to be in the club.
Just to be there. Yeah. So, yeah, it is big business.
Yeah.
But what was your main takeaway from the conversation?
About initiating conversations, I think. Just to get it started and let the other person do the talking, because everyone likes to talk. But not everyone likes to start the conversations. But it's about having that, the courage to just do that. I mean, you and I have been in situations like that, and we just do it anyway. But that's come from years of having been in those situations. But it doesn't mean that you don't feel like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go up to this person and embarrass myself. That is always there, but it's having a conversation, irrespective of how you feel inside.
Yeah, I think most of the time the conversation's actually in your head. So you're having this full-blown conversation in your head. Oh, what if they say this? What if they say that? And 9 times out of 10, when you do go up to speak to them, they're lovely and they're really warm and welcoming.
Yeah.
Because they are just people. But in your head, you're just like, oh, my God, what are they going to think of me? They're going to think that I'm lesser than, or they're this. Or, for example, I remember like when we went out initially, we was talking about a podcast and it didn't even exist.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're telling people, we're going to have this podcast and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And we're like, but we haven't actually released an episode yet.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it can be daunting when you're going up to people telling them about your dream. and you're actually selling your dream, but there's
Yeah.
nothing to show for it yet.
Yeah.
So
I've got an embarrassing one. When I first signed with Sony, had some songs out there and stuff, and I was on Carnaby Street, right near Sony ATV's HQ, and I bumped into Tyler, the Creator, on Carnaby Street, and I was with a couple of friends, and I was like, well, I have to go up to him. He was just standing outside a cookie shop. I was like, I've got beats and stuff like that. I need to go up to him. But it was like mad awkward because obviously like Odd Future then at that point were like the hottest property like in hip hop, and I remember just going up to him and being like, yeah, so
what had happened was
I've just been signed to Sony. I've got some beats and like, can we send you some stuff? And he goes, say it like you fucking mean it. I was like, okay, let me speak to the manager guy who's standing next to you. So I spoke to him and we exchanged details and stuff. But yeah, that was like raw. Like, especially if it was an English rapper, like they wouldn't have, like English people aren't really like that, but Americans, in my experience, can be a bit more like forefront
in your face.
You know what I mean? But which is cool.
But I think
was
it's
like,
because
whoa.
in America it's like when we went to live talks and they were talking about Americans are more upfront. And
Yes.
they wouldn't even have the anxiety that I think most British people have in terms of networking. Like if they want something, they just go getters,
Yeah,
man.
it's the way we're conditioned over here. Being
Yeah.
British, being polite, being reserved, saying sorry all the time, all those kind of things really come into play. So that's why things take a bit longer over here, especially in like networking environments and stuff. And it's why if you can get past that, you can stand out more. Like for example, Big Nasty, for example, like he's just himself
all the
and he's
time.
like all the time. There's no off button at all. But that's what makes, and he's not trying to stand out, but he does stand out because British people are
quite the
technically like
opposite.
reserved. So yeah, that was my main takeaway. You?
So my takeaway was when he spoke about having a vision board.
Oh yes, I've got that too.
Yeah, because I know from experience myself, the first time that I created a vision board, I just created it and I wanted it to look pretty. And I even remember times where my friends and I have had vision board parties and we didn't really put too much thought into it. It was really, we've got these magazines, we're going to find words in there that sound motivating or things. Just sometimes you end up putting the generic stuff on a vision board without actually giving much thought to
it, yeah.
what you're actually putting on this.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be a millionaire. So
Right.
you're going to put £1 million
Yeah.
check
Such
on your vision
an
board.
arbitrary number.
Yeah, it's like everyone's going to put £1 million, but really, like when you do start thinking about, like if you do become a millionaire, like how are you going to get that first million? And once you get that first million, because £1 million isn't really much these days.
No. And I think as well, people think of that number as like a lump sum and not like a number that you can build up to.
Exactly.
It's so funny.
So when he's the whole point that he made about your vision board could be it could be flexible in a sense that it's not supposed to be something that you can't change or alter or edit. It's something that you should be obviously having realistic goals on there as well. So if you have a goal to make £1 million, there should be the steps on how you're going to get to that £1 million.
Yeah, exactly. You break it down.
Yeah, so I
Into
need to
actionable
make
steps.
this amount of money this year
By doing A, B, and C.
blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So that was really interesting to me because I know for a fact that I was guilty of just making vision boards for vision board's sake. And sometimes making it, but not really believing that the things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think when you put those realistic steps in place,
Exactly.
it makes it a lot more real. So that's
Absolutely.
what I took from that conversation.
Good. Yeah, it was a really good one. Shout out to Joe.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out that episode, please do. You will not be disappointed.
Episode 18, guys. It's
18,
up.
yeah. And this
It's
is
up now.
episode 19.
Yes.
Wow.
I remember like when we first started and we said, oh, we have to get to like 50 episodes before people actually start, embracing the podcast. And
Yeah.
it just seemed like so far away, but it's getting closer, isn't
Getting
it?
closer, man. We're not far off.
We're not far
all.
off at all. So it's really encouraging to know that we've maintained it and we're going. And I don't feel like I'm any less enthusiastic about what we're doing
No,
than
even
when
more
we
so,
started.
maybe,
yeah. So
Definitely.
good.
Thanks for everybody's attention and
Thanks for your
support.
ears, man.
Yeah, and your eyes on Instagram at For the Creators Podcast.
And also on Twitter. We're not that active on Facebook. We could be, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to do.
So, and I just feel like the engagement on Facebook is not great.
I don't
like
Facebook,
even on my personal profile, I don't even really
I don't really check Facebook to be
go
fair.
on there.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of barriers with Facebook content. You have to pay for people to see it. So yeah, but maybe that's a topic we can explore with upcoming guest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Right, so today we have the amazing Mayday Carter in the studio with us.
Yes.
Drum roll.
Yeah, he's gonna come on.
So Mayday is a producer, songwriter, rapper, everything music, really.
Yeah. Producer, artists. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
So we're just going to explore a bit about who you are and what you do. We've said that you're a producer artist. Could you explain a bit about what that is?
Yeah, so I'm a producer first and foremost, and it's just come to the point where I've just been forced. I was forced to be a songwriter. Then from being a songwriter to just dropping melodies on tracks, and then I've just now turned into an artist. So
What do you mean by forced? By
So-
circumstance or?
yeah, because like waiting on songwriters, like I hate waiting. I'm just not a patient person in general.
Yeah.
I'm working on it, but and yeah, so I just had to take it into my own hands just so I could get things done. And yeah, started off, I wasn't great or anything. I was actually terrible, but melodies has always been my thing. So I've always kept that at the front of what I do. So
Right.
yeah, I don't call it singing and I don't call it rapping because I know real rappers and I know real singers. So
Yeah.
I'm gliding in between there and just doing my thing, and
feel
it's
you.
my vibe. So yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah.
How did you discover that melodies were your thing initially?
You know what? I've been dabbling and doing like the artist thing for a while, but never seriously. So I'll just be like, just doing stuff over my own tracks and then seeing how it sounds. And just, I actually put out like this small mixtape, like very long ago, and I just would keep making tracks. And yeah, I don't know. I'm always gravitating to melodies, so that's always what if I'm in a session with a songwriter, I'm like, melodies. I'm there. I'm on your back. Like, I need those melodies to pop. So yeah.
Can you just tell the audience what a melody is? How do you define a melody? Because someone who's not into music like myself, I'm just thinking, what melody, lyric, song, what?
Yeah. So what I always say is melody is memory. So like if you got a good melody, that's what's gonna stick in your head. Like so, if you got words, and you've got something good to say. If you got a powerful melody, then that's what's gonna translate to people first. In
So
my
is the
opinion.
melody the music or is it the lyrics?
It can be both, but when it comes to lyrics, then it's like, it's the tune, it's that thing that's, that hook, that thing that stands out to you that you remember.
It's what you would hum.
Yeah.
Let's say you know a Drake song, and you can hum any Drake song. So what you're humming, it would be the melody.
Yeah.
I think I get it because I remember one time Kane from Dr. Vades,
Yeah.
he sent me this thing and I was thinking, what is this? This sounds like gibberish. But I think he was just working at the melody.
That's
So
what it
he
is,
wasn't
yeah.
he wasn't actually like singing along or rapping actual words to it.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
feeling out the melody.
Yeah.
And then he sent it to me, this novice, and I'm like, is he going crazy? I was like, I didn't know how to respond because I was
Yeah.
thinking, this guy's just sent me gibberish.
Yeah.
And he's asking for my opinion. And I was
Yeah.
just like, what the hell
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this?
yeah.
And he was literally like, dum. I was like, what the hell?
I do that all the time. That's how I write mine.
That's kind of how you feel it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Weirdos.
That's how we do it, man. That's how we do it. So you said you were forced by kind of circumstance into like songwriting and as an artist.
Yeah, because I'm all about growth. So if something's being stagnant or stuff or anything, I'm just like, okay, what can I do to move it forward? So yeah, sometimes you just can't rely on people, and you just have to take it into your own hands.
Yeah.
And I'm like super responsible if anyone, well, not responsible in all situations, but responsible in the sense that for my own destiny and where I want to go, I have to take responsibility for what happens. I can't be like, oh, this never happened because of that person.
Sure.
It's because of me. I could have made the chances better by either upping my craft, either putting myself in a better location, situation, whatever it might be more prepared, and that could have made my chances better. So that's my vibe.
I'd agree with that.
So out of the frustration, you developed new skills.
Yeah, and that's where I see it as well. So even I'm at the point now where I'm just like, oh, I should send this to such and such. I'm like, nah, let me just develop myself. So I just, even right now, I've got access to a lot of people that I could send to people, but I'm just like, yeah, but I just don't want any delays. I'm like, let me just work it. If I really can't come up with anything, then I will send it to people and so forth. But yeah.
Absolutely. Do you feel that's a way of keeping your sanity in this mad game?
100%. Because again, it's like, I think to like feel like you haven't got control is because you're not taking responsibility for the situation. You're putting your destiny in someone else's hand when you can just like figure out what needs to be done. It might take a little longer, but you're going to develop more skills and be, expand your business, your craft, everything. So it's just makes sense for me personally.
Yeah. Do you find that you need a balance with that? Because obviously as a producer, songwriter, you're going to be working with other people, and there are good opportunities with working with other people. Yeah. But there's also growth and development and peace of mind as well with doing your own projects. How do you find that balance?
The balance is always something that I'm constantly evaluating and working out and just assessing, like what do I need to do here? Am I doing too much of the business side of aspects, marketing aspects? It's just trying to find the balance, and that is the key. But for now, I just see it as I'm gonna wear as many hats as I can until I literally physically can't do anything. And by that point, I should have lots of people knocking on my door, which I can make better decisions and be like, okay, this person works for this reason. So I don't want to just take people on board for the sake of it, or and right now I prefer for people to come to me with a passion rather than me like and have to chase you. Like if I'm chasing you, then you're probably not enthusiastic enough for you to help me on my journey where I am right now and for us to work together. So
What about looking at it from the other perspective of working with people who are already established in doing what you're trying to do, so that you gain experience from them as well? Because there's that side of things.
I do that, and I some people are just like a bit ahead, but to them they might feel like they're way ahead. So if they feel like they're way ahead and they're looking down to pull me up, it's probably not going. Like a lot of them, there's a lot of egos basically in the industry. So this is another reason why I'm like, okay, let me just build up my own stuff. So I've got my own demographic, I've got my own fans and everything, and then I've got more to put on the table. So it doesn't seem like you're pulling me up.
More leverage.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And because there's so many people doing this, I get it. So it's hard to see, like, is he really for real? So I'm just here proving myself, basically. Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot more tools for independent artists now, more so than ever.
Definitely.
So that's really good for artists. How has that helped you?
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's definitely there's loads of opportunities in it, but you can still get lost in the wilderness because it's like there's so much people doing the same thing. So it's like
we discussed this with our last guest, Joe Hagan, and we discussed about how many songs get uploaded to Spotify. And I should have checked it, but I'm going to say it again. I think it was like 25,000 per day.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah,
and obviously you need to cut through the noise, and it's whether you can. Obviously, it can happen on its own with just great music, but you are contending against people with massive teams and campaigns and things like that. Yeah. So it's definitely difficult, but it's finding your own like network and your own like fan base, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it? In a way that you can do it in the real world and online.
Yeah.
So what is your focus at the minute? Is it production or being an artist or both?
It's both, but it's artists is what I'm doing my best to balance and make sure that is what I'm pushing at the moment, because like I said, it's all part of the plan to build up, so I've got more legs to stand on, so I do get distracted every now and again, and because I'm literally doing every single aspect, everything you see on social media, that's me, video edits, everything, artwork, you name it, mix, master, everything. And because of that, it's definitely hard to, do everything. But I'm just doing my best and building that up, and just giving myself a better opportunity, basically. So, but if something good comes along, and good opportunities, then I will definitely check it out and see if it works for me. So yeah.
So you mentioned that you've worked with some pretty big people.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share any of those? Or?
Yeah, so, will.i.am is probably the main person I've worked with the most of that caliber and stuff. And yeah, I've definitely learned a lot from him. Been in a few sessions.
How did that come
about? So I used to work at a studio called Metropolis Studios, where I literally would just work on night reception. I started off working as an intern, then did engineering. Then from there, started working on night reception, which is very similar to Alex the Kid. He had the same blueprint, more or less, but I'm not sure if he was making beats on night reception, but I was making beats on night reception. And a lot of people would be like, what's that? What am I hearing? And
you made sure you weren't making beats in headphones then?
No. Had the speakers up and was playing it not crazy loud or loud, not even loud really. You just could hear it, and it's weird because if I could be playing just a random song off of SoundCloud or something, and no one would say anything. But as soon as I'm making a beat, they'll be like, "What's that?" So
interesting.
So yeah, so
that was a good tactic though.
Yeah,
to get heard and seen.
Exactly.
You got to do what you got to do. You're in the right room, so it's why wouldn't you?
Seizing the opportunities.
Yeah. So loads of people approached me through that. So yeah.
And will.i.am was one of them.
will.i.am and Kendrick Lamar and Future, Rodney Jerkins.
Wow.
A load of people. I'm missing a load of people, but yeah, a load of people. So yeah.
That's great, man. And from there, you established the contact with them, and
So the trick is, is you have to catch them in that moment. It has to happen then, because if it doesn't, it literally is it just is very hard to continue that flow and that momentum, because once they leave the country, they're back to the whoever the Pharrells or whoever they're working with, and I'm forgotten. So, but that was a reason why I took a lot of trips to LA as well, because I was like, okay, cool, I gotta keep this flow going. And I had their contacts, their direct numbers and stuff, a lot of these people, but it was just catching them at the right time, which was so difficult. And I'm only allowed to stay in the US for 3 months, so it would literally so many times it would be just as I'm leaving, something's happening, and then it's like, oh man, I'll be gone next week. And but yeah, it's just how it goes.
It's part of the journey, man.
Exactly.
It's literally the journey.
Exactly.
That's crazy. So when you say seizing the moment with them at that time, was that exchanging the details or actually getting into the room and making music?
Yeah, as you was mentioning with as UK people, we can be a bit laid back and stuff, and I think that's where it is, and it's just adopting more of the mentality of the US guys, where you're just like, all right, let's just get in now. Do you want to hear something now? Whatever, you might have to be a little bit more pushy, not thirsty in any type of way, but just a little bit more confident and just
believe in yourself.
You know what I'm saying? Believe in yourself and not thinking you've got till tomorrow. Just go in like you really believe in yourself now. But yes, loads of situations. I remember when Dappy actually was in the studio as well, and something similar happened. I can't remember the songwriter, but the songwriter was working with him, and I just literally played one chord, and he started singing like,
Wow.
instantly. And then I played another chord, he carried on singing. It was like, and we just 4 chords or something like that, and then we had a song straight away, just like that.
It's amazing when it happens like that.
And then his manager heard and was like, yo, record that now. And then we quickly recorded it, played it to Dappy, and Dappy was loving it. And then the same, but he was just leaving for that night. He was like, but send me the track. But yeah, it's one of those things.
It's one of those things, yeah.
Dappy's doing really good right now with his new single.
He's come back strong.
Yeah.
He's come back strong.
Definitely one of my favourite UK artists as well. I would say.
He's put him on the
really
mic. It's just flames every time.
There was one time that I heard him singing. I can't remember. It was like a live performance, and he was actually singing, and he was amazing.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that he could sing.
Well,
Where he
sing,
was,
sing.
like singing.
Yeah, he's deep. He's deep. Cool. So we'll come back to a bit on your journey. At this point, we discussed the most creative thing we've seen in a while. We've changed that from in a week to in a while because memory recall, and that. So, Veneer, what's the most creative thing you've seen in a while?
So on Sunday, I went out to exercise because I'm just getting way too big for my liking. So I've been trying to work out a bit more. So I took a walk down to the bottom of my road, but it was on my way. And there was this massive car show. So it started off, the first thing I saw was just like probably about 10 Ferraris just lined up. And there were Ferraris from like different years. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And as I kept going around the whole park, and it's a massive park, was just filled with cars from probably the 1920s all the way up till now.
Man.
And it was amazing. And I recorded it on our live. That's the sad thing about the lives, because they only last for 24 hours.
Oh, do
But
that?
yeah, so it's gone now. But they were literally, and the thing that stood out for me the most though was that the craftsmanship that went into the old cars for me is a lot better than what goes into modern day cars. I think the focus now is more on speed and less about being creative. I think that when I was going past like the old cars, there was you could clearly differentiate different makes and the different models. Like they just look completely different to each other. But these days I find that a lot of the cars just look really similar. So you really can't tell the difference between a BMW and a Mercedes, and like they're all striving to look the same. And then the upkeep for some of these cars as well it was breathtaking. When I was walking around, the colours, even like the police cars from back in the day were on point. It's crazy, like the level of detail, and you can just tell that people took a lot more time with things back in the day.
Yeah.
It wasn't so, I think right now we're just rushing to do everything. And obviously if you rush something, then you reduce your creativity, I think, because you're just trying to get it out, rather than actually nurturing it and making sure that it's the best thing possible. So even sometimes when I think about artists, like the Michael Jacksons and that, I don't really know if they'll survive in modern day, because they probably took way too long to produce like an album compared to art. So now you're putting out like an album
A year.
or sometimes even 6 months, So I feel like it was amazing to see that on Sunday. Because for me, it was just breathtaking.
It was made to last.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's evident because they have lasted.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that was my most creative thing.
My most creative thing would be on Drake's album, there's a song with Michael Jackson. And when the track list dropped and it said featuring Michael Jackson, on Twitter everyone was like, oh, how did you get Michael Jackson? Blah, blah, blah. He's obviously passed away. I'm like, come on, man. Think about it.
Humans have catalogues of music.
Thousands. He's going to have thousands of songs that he's done with different producers, songwriters in different sessions, songs that he's fully finished. They're all sitting there. So it would obviously be a conversation between Drake's team and the rights holders to try and either sample the song or have him feature, which is what happened. And one of an artist that I've collaborated with, Negin Jafari, she co-wrote the song. So I saw that and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. That was amazing.
Wow. So I'm looking forward to speaking to Negin about that, just to see how that come about, because like we were saying off air, a song like that at any point it might not come out. So to have a song like that out with a feature from Michael Jackson is just like, wow, smashed it. Yeah. So yeah, that was my most creative thing. How about you, Mayday Carter?
Yeah. It came. What was it? I think it came out like 2 days or a day ago now. The Shiro story.
Yeah.
I saw that on
yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah.
but is it part 2?
Part two.
I was thinking I need to go back and watch part 1 because
You definitely need to see part 1 and part 2. Yeah. So yeah, for what UK is doing and stuff, it's necessary. Like this, like the storytelling, and I love it. Javan Wade in there doing his acting, just killing it, and just the support, the unity between the UK. This is what I've been talking about for many years, and it's good to see everyone like supporting each other and getting involved in that type of way. And the little twist at the end, it's quite creative and different from what's going on. So
I saw was it Sideman All Day? He did like his review on it.
Oh, okay.
It was so funny because there was one point, I don't know, the actor was holding the gun to, was it one of the guys from Kreps and Conan?
Yeah.
And then
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, stop.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. But there was a reason why I was saying it, because it was so funny.
Well, it's not really a spoiler because it's out on the trailer part. So
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer has it. That's what I saw.
Oh, okay.
So then the
Oh,
guy
okay,
was
okay.
saying, like, the Sideman All Day was going, he's there going on like a bad man. The man's holding the gun to his head. He should have been saying, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, right.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
that's funny. Yeah.
Rather than saying, yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Kind of
Joke.
thing, yeah.
Yeah,
I need
but
to check
we'll
that
stick
out.
up that in the show info so everyone can see it and understand what we're talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, so every week we discuss our topic of the week. And this week's topic is, has the internet made it more difficult for producers to get paid for their work? And with 2 producers in the room,
This is going to be a good one.
this will be good. So, who wants to take the
do you wanna
mic
go first,
first?
Okay. Yeah. So I think that there's many angles to this question, because in one sense, it means it's an open playing field for everyone, and anyone can get through if you're creative and you find ways to market yourself and stuff. Like we was mentioning off air, is the type beats and stuff like that. That's good in some ways, but that's, to me, that's more beat makers. But for producers, it's a different story, like.
Can you explain the difference between a beat maker and a producer?
Okay, so in my opinion, beat maker is, you're making a backing track and you're in the bedroom and probably, I don't want to go into the part of Fruit Loops because there's loads of people on Fruit Loops and they just type right in the beats. But
What is Fruit Loops?
Fruit Loops is the program which you make the music on, like the chord. You put the chords down and all that stuff, and then you can put the drum beat and all that stuff behind it. And from how I make beats, like I use a keyboard and will feel it and play it in. So that's one aspect. But to me, the difference between a producer and a beat maker is actually finding the whole vision of the projects. Either the project or the song is seeing it completely through. So if you might feel like it needs a string section, so you're gonna have to work that out. You want to get the best performance out of the artist. You gotta use psychology. They might not be in a great mood that day. You gotta get the best out of them by any means. Even if you're not feeling great that day, you gotta see it through. You got
Being a producer is like being a film director.
Yeah, that would be the quicker answer. It's basically directing and making sure the vision is fulfilled. So you always have to have that in the back of your mind. The artist might come through and just want to chat the whole time, and that's fine, but you have to get to the point where you realize, okay, all right, should we try something now, and then get to the work and make it happen.
Definitely.
So is a beat maker just literally what it says on the tin? They
making
just make
beats.
A beat.
Yeah, making beats, and they will typically send out the beats via email, and just that's all. And
But
I
isn't
I
that
can
where
be.
production starts though?
It
Like,
does start there.
You
Yeah.
start off with a beat.
What modern production does, but
Yeah.
back in the day it wasn't
Yeah.
like that because music wasn't made in like separate places, and because technology wasn't there, you couldn't send it
Yeah.
across
Oh,
anywhere. So
okay.
it happened in the studio, and the producer would typically, because it wasn't like, for example, we would make a beat on a computer, and you would load up a keyboard and you would load up the drums and things like that. There wasn't any of that, so the producer in the room would not load up, but you would direct the drummer, you would direct the
Yeah.
like the keyboard and all that, and the vocalist. So they're producing all of those people to make a record. With hip hop, it kind of changed all of that because it kind of switched it around where a producer would prepare a beat or a song and then have the rapper jump on it, and that kind of changed the whole
Dynamics of it. Yeah.
dynamics and with pop songwriting and all of that, which is now kind of all merged into one thing now. So it's changed a lot.
And producers can still be beat makers. It's not like to say there's something wrong with being a beat maker. If you're a beat maker, be a beat maker. But there's definitely a clear distinction between the two, or what roles you might be playing today. You might be the producer. Tomorrow you might be the beat maker.
Yeah.
I definitely still send beats. So if I don't, and depending on the artist, because some artists, like the bigger they are, they sort of just very precious about the track. So sometimes they might not even hit you back to get the stems, to get the separate parts. Sometimes it's just like, oh, we're going like this. It's like, what? I haven't finished it though.
Yeah,
So,
I've had that.
Yeah. So sometimes, a lot of the times now, I just make sure I get it complete as best as possible. Because yeah.
So just to bring it back to the question, because of this whole like sending beats via email dynamic, and obviously people can download beats off of YouTube, like you're saying, type beats. What we mean by that is that there are a lot of new producers uploading tons of type beats. So it's like, oh, a Drake type beat or a Jay-Z type beat or whatever to YouTube, or Afrobeats type beat. And obviously new artists just go on YouTube, listen to those, write to those, and then they can put those out. But what happens is those producers tend to sell their beats for like really low cost.
Yeah.
Like $20 or
Yeah.
whatever, $50, which is cool. That's cool for what they're doing. Obviously, it's their hustle. But what it does in the general economy of music production is it kind of cheapens
It does.
the work. So, I think that's kind of changed things.
Yeah, but for me, I just would never get involved in that. Like, there's no way I'm going to put up my beat for $20 or whatever like that. Like, that's just not what I'm going to do at this point of my career. But I get it in the beginning. You might just be like churning out beats or whatever. Because I remember when I used to use Reason, I remember I made 33 beats in one day. Like, I don't know if all of them was goods or anything, but I was just churning out beats. So in that sense, I guess it could work like that. So you're like, oh yeah, this is if I sell this $25 or £25 each wherever you are in the world, then this could work for me. I get it, but to me, like you said, it cheapens. But again, it just depends on your vision, really, because you might not want to be the biggest producer. You might not want to do all that stuff. You might just like doing it, and
Maybe
it's just a hobby.
quantity over quality sometimes as well, because sometimes you just need to generate an income, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes.
but where can you go from that? Because if the music is good, that's the thing. It's like any art. Like you could make a really good piece of art that is the equivalent of, I don't know, someone they're selling art for like millions, and it's as good. Like it sounds good. So if you've charged like £20 for it for a year and you sold like 100 beats, then where'd you go from there?
But I guess the question that some of the listeners may be asking is, how do you price your beats then? What goes into actually pricing a beat? Because if you're saying that, oh, that shouldn't be £20, what makes yours...
It's a weird one. It's like...
what would make some... I'm sure like a DJ Khaled's understandable because of his fame and obviously his history of having number one hits. So for example, if you have a number one hit with one of the songs that you produced, does that increase your price?
It can do,
Yeah.
but there is like a market rate that you have to kind of contend with. It
Do
depends.
you set it, or does the market set it?
It's like, because you're a freelancer, isn't it? Essentially, in this, so it's, you do set your own rates, but it's whether people are willing to pay that, and then you don't really get feedback as such as to whether you're charging too much or too little, because everyone's trying to get a deal in some way. Do you know what I mean? So they're not going to say, "Oh, you're charging way less than you should."
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, so
So how does it work? Do you ever get like, I'm trying to figure out how, because even when I think about royalties, that's another arena again.
So-
So it's like, how do you, so as a producer, do you ever charge like a one-off fee, or do you charge like a percentage?
So here's the thing. There's multiple ways you can do it, but
Yeah.
the way I see it and the way like I kind of do it right now is or I've done it for a while now, is basically, so obviously if I'm working with will.i.am, I'm not going to charge him because at this point he's bringing me up. So like, it's just like, you know, if Beyonce just came along and was like, "Oh, I want this track," like, just don't charge her, just get on the album.
Yeah.
You're going to make a lot more money just being on the album. So you can, but if you miss that boat, then you just missed out
I
completely.
think it's similar to
So-
what Joe was saying about when you're working with brands, you have to know what level you are
Yeah.
as an artist and what
Yeah.
you can charge. And obviously
So-
the long-term view, meaning if you do get on the Beyonce
Yeah.
album,
Sometimes the relationship is worth more than the payment.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. So you might have those aspects, but then you have the aspects of, say you're just busy now. If you're way busy and people want to work with you, now you can be like, all right, the only way I'm stopping what I'm doing if the price is right.
Yeah.
So then you go, all right, this is what I want for me to stop what I'm doing with whatever project I'm working on.
Yeah.
And if it meets that, then I'm gonna divert over here.
Sure.
But if it doesn't meet the number I want, then I'm just gonna continue what I'm doing because I've got volume of work. So right now it's just about choosing what I want to work with.
Yeah.
Or sometimes maybe about the money, but generally it's about if I want to work with the artist or I feel I can bring something to the project or the artist, because like we've been saying, there's so many people doing this, and it's just hard to sort of invest all your time and energy in something if someone's not that serious about it, or if we're not on the same page at the moment. It doesn't make sense wasting your time on that. So you have to be selective to a degree, and sometimes just take a chance. So I allow that flexibility.
A bit of both. Yeah. Definitely.
So has the internet also created more revenue streams though? Because that's another side of the
Yeah.
question.
No,
Because
it definitely
obviously,
has, yeah.
on one hand, it's a level playing field,
Mm-hmm.
so everyone has the opportunity to potentially make music and put it out there and be heard.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side, what type of opportunities has it created for producers in your view?
So there's a producer, massive producer called Illmind, and he's made a massive brand and business off of selling drum kits to to other producers. So as a producer, you need sounds, and you do get what they call stock sounds. So they're the sounds that come with the software that you use. But you don't use those sounds. That's the whole thing about being a producer. You have to get that unique sound. So everyone assembles these kits, which contain drum sounds, but also different loops and just different sounds that make up the music that you hear today. So he's created original versions of those kits to sell to different artists. To different producers, and that revenue stream came out of it being a level playing field for people, and him seeing it. Well, not only him, but other producers also seeing that opportunity to supply sounds, what they already do for artists, but to producers too.
So what about things like adverts and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you ever delved in?
Yeah, I've been asked to do a couple, but that's also another like a different network of people to deal with, and it's kind of I haven't had much success in terms of like just pitching for those adverts, because one, you have to get an opportunity in the first place. But yeah, I haven't had success in doing a cold pitch on something like that. But in terms of being requested to do something, yeah.
So has a brand ever approached you based on hearing your music on, say, Shazam or I don't know,
No,
to work with you?
no, not as such yet. But I did get approached. I did like the Flavor TV idents back in the day. So they did
cool.
a relaunch of their brand.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we need new music for this. So I did like, I don't know, I think like 5 different beats. And they just was playing that for like, I think it was like 2 years. So it was every day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I got royalties off of that. And yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's cool.
So there are different ways. There are definitely
Yeah.
different ways. And it changes all the time. It changes every day. You just got to keep your finger on the pulse.
So, you know, when you mentioned before that, say, for example, you go into the studio with will.i.am and you're given this opportunity, I'm assuming that you weren't discussing royalties in your cut of the pie initially.
No.
So the song goes out and it's now a hit.
It's so weird.
What happens then?
Yeah.
Do you negotiate retrospectively or sometimes you just don't ever get paid for your track?
Yeah. So, yeah, there's definitely grey areas and situations that can come about because one that springs to mind because I was in a session with Will and like so he was actually supposed to feature on a track of mine and I played it to him. He was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we had he was like, oh, I'll come back tomorrow, so I'm going to write my verse, all that stuff. So I came back the next day and then Nicole Scherzinger's there and that became the priority. So next day, came back again. Now David Guetta's there. So it was all good, but what happened was I was there in the session still and me and Nicole was help writing on the track. So I'm there thinking I just know he's not going to credit me if this comes out. But I've looked at the track, hasn't actually come out, but I was looking for it because it was just done so blasé.
Right.
And there was no talks afterwards or anything. So in some sense, like you can get really like precious about that. And I guess if you got the right people around you and you got a team that they can separately handle that, then by all means make it happen. But sometimes you might have to just take that hit and be like, all right, cool. It just depends on your belief in yourself as well. Because you might see it as, like some people might be watching this or listen to this be like, nah, that doesn't make sense, go get your money. But sometimes if you believe in yourself, just be like, all right, cool, I'll let you have that. And build yourself up to the point where, then those situations won't happen or they will respect you a bit more and you can like put your foot down firmly. But in a moment, you might just have to just be there, just be around it and just take the opportunities that come about. So, yeah.
Do you think that sometimes if you try and go in for the kill with like, before we start this song, I need to get my cut, then that actually
you can kill the creative,
vibe
exactly
and the
that.
creativity.
Exactly that.
So it's such a catch-22.
It does, because obviously, like you said, there are, it's an emotional business. So if you come in like that and you haven't got much behind you, then we're like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to do any work. So,
but what about the other angle of being like a Kanye? Because like when I've heard people talk about Kanye, they've always said that he was so full of himself from the start.
Yeah.
But could that also potentially work in your favor, or is that just a one-off?
That can. I feel like you can be that. I think we all have aspects of Kanye in our vibe, but it's just like we're too conscious of other people's opinions and stuff. Like anyone can just be like, no, this is how I want it, and say it however they want without feeling any rebuttals coming back. But I feel like you don't have to be that way. So if you can just, Not. I don't want to say like please everyone, but just be respectful of people and just
Maybe
keep
it's not
the truth.
what you say, but how you say it.
Yeah,
there is, and it also, I mean, obviously Kanye's got that reputation, but maybe he didn't have that reputation when it was talking about cuts on a song. Do you know what I mean? And walking into a room and saying, "I want 50% of this song." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that does the vibe. But also, he had obviously a lot of heat behind him as well. So it changes the dynamic of a conversation. Depends on what it's such a hype game. Depends on like what you've got coming out. Sorry, what you got out now, but more importantly, what you got coming next.
Yeah. So what have you done recently? That's all that really matters. Really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because remember when we attended the Spotify Secret Genius event? So the whole point of that was to start giving producers and songwriters more credit, like giving them credits on songs. So do you think that has actually helped songwriters and producers, or it still has a long way to go?
It will, yeah, it will. I don't know if I've seen an instant like situation from it, but it definitely will help. Yeah, I think it's necessary.
Absolutely. No, I've always been a big believer in obviously shining a light on all the creators, which is why we've started this podcast. I think it will take a long time for people to truly appreciate what goes into making music and movies and everything. But I think that will help a little bit for people that are interested. But like you said, like most people that hear music, they hear the music, they don't understand what goes into it, and most of them don't care, to be honest. But the ones that do and are interested in music, the information should be available to them. So kudos to Spotify for investing into that.
Yeah, I think it's also about educating the audience, because if they don't know, we've been conditioned to only focus on the full track, which is, again, goes back to what you're saying about producers and beat makers.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, when I listen to a song, I listen to
the song,
Yeah.
which is the goal, really.
Yeah, so I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, who wrote it and blah blah. Because even when in this whole beef with Drake and Pusha T, when he was talking about the fact that Drake doesn't write all of his songs, etc., I feel like that was kind of like irrelevant, because everyone knows that most artists these days don't write all of their songs, and to an extent it's actually good for them not to write all of their songs, because it gives people opportunities. Because he's reached that level of fame where if he was writing all of his songs, then your friend wouldn't have had that opportunity,
Right.
to be put out there.
Exactly.
So
It's a weird one
catch-22.
with Drake, because he's a rapper and a singer, and in the singing world, in an art like that side of the world, co-writing is just the established thing. Like, it's normal. It's not frowned upon at all. In hip hop, as a rapper, it is highly frowned upon. So he's just caught in between two worlds, I think, on that one.
I feel it's probably not as extreme as people are trying to allude to the situation. I feel like it's probably a situation of like, oh, this is like a vibe, this is a rhythm. It's like if you're working with a producer, that's what a producer might do. That's what Pharrell did with Fabulous one time with I forgot the name of the song, but it was a very syncopated type of vibe. It was one of Fabulous's first tracks, and Pharrell was like,
Holla back, youngin'.
Yeah, exactly. So
I was just singing it in my head.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
Like that same syncopated vibe he told Fabulous, that's what you need to do. That's not right. That's not right in the track for him. Do you know what I'm saying? That's just a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of vibes came through like that. And that's what Kanye seems to do himself as well, is like if there's a certain vibe, he's like, okay, I like that vibe. And then he like does his thing. So everyone in the room he's collaborating with. So I don't see a problem with it unless someone's trying to talk about his childhood or something, or you know what I'm saying. If it's like made up stuff, then of course. But I think it's going to be generally, when it comes to Drake and Kanye and stuff, it's going to be to do with the melody and the vibes. Yeah.
Because even when because I didn't know that Mayday, the other Mayday that we had on the show, wrote "Don't Go." I just automatically assumed that Rich wrote it.
There you go.
And I think that's what most listeners would assume. And it blew my mind that it was also a female that wrote it.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how the whole scene works. But I feel like we're doing our best to inform people of what's going on. So kudos to us. Little plug there.
Trust me.
Yeah.
All good.
So what have you got coming up that you'd like our audience to know about?
Yes, I'm working. So I've just released my first EP, Ticket to LA, and dropped 3 videos. I got a 4th video coming very soon. So I'm now working on Ticket to London. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah. So
I like that.
Yeah.
So you only got a one way to LA.
No,
You need
see,
to
this
get
is the thing.
money to come back to London.
This is the thing. It's you'll see the journey, but so ticket to LA, ticket to London, and you can start to guess where I might go next. So it's just this is a little vibe I'm working with right now, and ticket to LA was more with that LA and US vibe. Ticket to London will be more UK based, UK vibes. So just stay tuned and check me out. Mayday Carter.
Cool.
On Instagram, and you can find me on all platforms, Spotify, iTunes, everything. Just type in Mayday Carter, and listen, put it on repeat, and enjoy it.
Leave it on repeat overnight. So it's MAYDAY.
Yeah.
Cool, because that's different to the
Yes.
R
And
of Mayday.
is there like a story behind your name?
Yeah, it's not anything crazy. It's just like I think I was like
It was
14.
Mayday, and then
No, I was like 14, and I was in Florida with my auntie, and we were just driving, and then we just drove past this sign. I guess it was like an airport, and it just said Mayday, and I don't know why, it just spoke to me, and I was just like, I'm
that's
Mayday.
a cool story.
Yeah, I like that.
So
Awesome. So definitely follow Mayday Carter at Mayday Carter. Search on Spotify, YouTube, etc.
But before we finish,
Yes, I keep on forgetting this. Go on.
so we normally ask our guests if you could go back to being 10 years old, what would you tell yourself, knowing everything that you know now?
what would I tell? I would tell myself, just don't be too hard on yourself. Like, keep pushing forwards. Don't get too complacent, but don't be too hard on yourself, because it won't be productive. Because many a times, you're striving for greatness, and you have to understand that you're gonna go through ups and downs, and sometimes you're gonna be like, am I even good enough for this? And you're gonna question and all that stuff. But just keep going, and just know that you will get better, and it takes time.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Cool, guys. Well, thanks for coming on, man. We
Thank you
really
for having
appreciate
me.
this conversation. I've had an opportunity to kind of geek out on production stuff, which was cool.
I thought that you'd enjoy it.
Exactly. Guys, review us, please, on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars, please.
Yeah, because we have some silent listeners and we're not really hearing from you. Like, we know that people are listening to the show, but no one's commenting or reviewing. So we need to hear your feedback. We need to hear like what we're doing well, what we can improve on.
Who you want to hear, what questions you want asked.
Exactly.
Who do you want us to follow up with?
Because this is a show for you. And on Monday's episode as well, Joe's agreed to answer any questions that you might have about PR, which is public relations or talent management. So if you want to send questions in for any of our guests, they're all quite nice and they're open to helping the next generation of creatives. So feel free to send your questions across. If there's a topic you'd like us to discuss, send that across too. And if you enjoy everything that we've been doing so far, please subscribe.
Thank you. Remember, follow us on @ForTheCreatorsPodcast. It's not your average Instagram. I say that every week, but it really isn't. Follow that. There's going to be great content on there every day for you that will inspire you. So
yeah, and we've got some amazing guests lined up for you as well. We're bringing some more females into the mix.
yeah, girl power.
There's a lot of testosterone been going on around here. I'm feeling a bit left out, so
Yeah.
I'm going to bring some girls in so we can crush Ryan.
Cool, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.